Hello everyone, want to make a quick video because it could help someone. So I purchased and made my PC back in 2018. It was a Ryzen 1700 with a MSI B450 motherboard. No, actually at the time it was a B350 motherboard Tomahawk from MSI. And 1050 Ti graphics card. Nothing out of the ordinary. I purchased RAM that was compatible with the Ryzen for first gen, and Corsair power supply. And when I built the PC, it would get sudden freezes like once every 3 months. And then lately, 3 months ago, I was working on schoolwork. I was just reading a Amazon ebook, and the computer suddenly froze, and the display went off, the keyboard light went off, but the mouse light stayed on, and all of the lights inside, you see fans have lights, all of them stayed on. This is not the Tomahawk board, but the Tomahawk board has a debug light, and it said it was a CPU. So I restarted the computer. I put in once I restarted, the same issue started happening, but the display would go off, but the computer would still be running, and then a debug light. This time it was a VGA, so I was a little bit confused. And I swapped out the hard drive with the Windows drive that does work, and the same error kept happening. So I was thinking maybe something's corrupt, right? You always want to check software first. So what I did is I got a hard drive that I didn't care about. I formatted it, and I tried to install Windows on it. And when I installed Windows, it was getting stuck going into Windows. So what I did afterwards is I got so after that, I looked into what possible hardware issues were at fault, because it wasn't software. There was something going on with the computer. It was pretty consistent. The keyboard light would go off, the mouse light and the lights in the computer would stay on. But in Windows, it would sometimes be in Windows for a few seconds, and then everything would go down. I tried it on safe mode. It's really weird because in safe mode, it would work, but safe mode disables a lot of things, so I wasn't sure. I changed the settings to high performance on everything, so that maybe it was a power issue, and it wasn't, because at one point it was working, and I was able to do like a CPU test, and it worked fine. I tested the RAM with 86 program. I'm not too sure of the program, but I did RAM test. I updated the BIOS. I cleared the CMOS. I took off the the Wi-Fi card. Maybe the Wi-Fi card's causing an error. I removed some of the LEDs, fans. Maybe that's causing an issue. I took it to a computer repair place, and the guy told me it was a motherboard, because it's either two things at this point: the graphics card, well, actually three: the graphics card, the power supply, the motherboard. The CPU is a rarest thing. It's usually not the CPU. And especially weird because I never overclocked this CPU. So he tested the graphics card. The graphic card works fine in a different computer. He tested the RAM, was fine. So he tested also the power supply, so it had to be the motherboard. Through the warranty of MSI, I requested another motherboard, and they sent me one, which was actually in worse condition. It looked, cosmetically, it looked worse. So I got it, and it still didn't work. Still error kept happening. So I purchased a new motherboard. This is a B450 M Steel Legend from ASRock, because the guy told me that supposedly MSI makes bad boards. So, maybe it was that. And it still didn't work, and I was really upset. So I went on Amazon, because the only thing right now at this point is the CPU, and CPU is, telling you guys, it's really rare. I've never heard of a CPU really being at fault. And I had noticed maybe it started happening after I installed a program that required virtualization. And I'm not a tech or an engineer in microprocessors, but maybe the virtualization enabled something in the CPU that it required to use different transistors that it required, and it probably fried those transistors. And when it does certain tasks in the processor, because Windows is more complex, it probably messed something up. So I purchased a new processor. It's a Ryzen 1600, a little bit. I guess it's almost aligned with 1700, but it has less cores. Each core is more powerful on the 1600. This is an AF version, and thankfully it's working. So this is just something I want to let all of you guys know, because I was looking online to see what are CPU errors, because I was thinking when it first happened, I'm like, it's either the CPU or the motherboard. But from what I searched online, there wasn't much info on CPU failures, except overheating. And with this computer, well, the 1700 processor, it never overheated. It was always a cool 40 degrees, 30 degrees, like 38 degrees. I never overclocked. I never made it run heavy tasks like 24/7, nothing like that. So it was really odd. It's a really strange error. I've requested a RMA form from AMD. Hopefully they give me a new processor, because I'm gonna be selling one of them. I don't know, but it really sucks that that happened. But I'm glad it's finally working now. And just another tip, because this would happen once going into Windows. Sometimes it will work for a bit, like opening Google Chrome would work fine for a second. And then usually when I open Task Manager, I guess something with the mapping in the processor that it uses certain transistors, it would remove any image from the screen. So that's a little bit odd. Also, I did put on my earphones and like really quickly put a song or a video to see if it was something with, like, just try to diagnose what was going on, and also the audio would stop playing. So it was a complete like shutdown of all the software that was happening, but the board would still stay on. And with the debug light, it wasn't really helpful, because it would either leave a RAM on, it would be like it's saying it's a VGA or CPU. So it wasn't too telling, because it was just random every time. But if you guys find this helpful, let me know. I'm not sure if I'm the only one with the Ryzen issue. I checked online, there was nothing on a bad Ryzen. It's either dead on arrival or it's in good state. And I'm telling you guys, it happened a year later after I built the PC. Well, actually, it sometimes would happen every 3 months, but nothing out of the ordinary since that. Because I was just thinking maybe it's my power, because I have it connected to like a power strip, and I have a good power supply. So maybe I bumped into the power strip and I disconnected it for a sec. I was trying to justify the issues, but I guess it's working now, so that's good. All right, guys, see you guys later.